And then suddenly, from out of the blue, you decide like, then you enter
I
showbiz.
entered show business.
Oo.
Show business was really never part of my plan. It was never part
But
of
it's
my
in
plan.
your blood, so
It's in the blood, but kumbaga, growing up, knowing that it's in the blood, we kind of tried to stay away from it because, we really studied hard. My plan was to finish college and, take on a normal job, work at the office. So, show business was never part of the plan.
that's gonna be hard considering like you're a standout and everywhere. I mean, I'm saying objectively because when we saw you sa roster of volunteers, you would always pick like I told you
my
the good
sister and I
looking
used to do
ones.
commercials. We were allowed to do commercials and to model, but that was it. Other than that, nothing else. We were really raised to study hard and finish our studies. So after college, I became a preschool teacher. I used
Wow.
psychology. And then I decided to go corporate and worked for Rockwell Land Corporation in Makati. So I was there for a year under human resources. So wala talaga sa plano to enter show business.
And then
And it was biglaan. It was
who
biglaan.
asked you to go? I mean,
My current manager, Arnold Vega Fria, is the uncle of a really good friend of mine. She's been my friend ever since grade school. So I've known him ever since. There would be offers to join show business even when we were small, but we would always turn them down.
why?
So
Just chula
because
lang.
we
You
were
want
studying.
studying.
Yeah, because we were studying. And it was already when I was working in the office that I saw Tito Arnold again at a friend's wedding. So at the same time, at the wedding, there were people from GMA. I believe some of the management staff of GMA were there, and as well as Miss Rosel, the daughter of Mother Lily Monteverde. So from that night, I caught their eyes, and then they offered me. I turned it down, and then Tito Arnold was
Naku,
able
you
to
turned it
convince
down
me,
pa,
and then the rest is history. I auditioned, and then I got a good role.
No, but first the first entry was
Well, it was for Rosalinda
Yes.
in 2009. So
which was a pretty big thing because
Yes.
I mean that what made Marian, I mean
yes.
sorry,
She
I forgot.
played Marimar.
Yes, Marimar. Sorry.
Oo. So but what pressure was there because it was a primetime soap opera. Marian Rivera did Marimar before I did Rosalinda. So, considering that I didn't have experience back then, it was a really big thing.
Did Lola or Daddy give you tips? Did they?
They did naman. I was able to I asked for permission from my mom, from my grandmother, and they gave me tips. My dad as well. Throughout na show business. It wasn't at the beginning of show business. They warned me, but when I was already there, taping and all, it was harder than what that they described. It was harder than what I expected. So I had to learn the hard way.
Teka, what
Yeah,
was
but
the
throughout-
hard part?
It's a schedule, it's the people, it's the pressure, the stress of my job, so everything else. But thankfully, I've adjusted. I've learned to love my job. I love it. I'm enjoying it. So it's good. I'm done with the adjusting phase.
Okay, so that's good. And okay, so Carla Avellana as a student, as a kid, growing up with PAWS and doing all these fundraisers with us, and now growing in full bloom into talagang big time celebrity, and also maybe planning things to do things for the animals because now being a celebrity, you're paid much more attention to by
Definitely,
people.
yes, and you have a voice that you can use so that people will actually hear you out. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing. That's one of the perks of show business, I guess. It's having that voice. so that people will actually stop and pay attention. So you put that voice into good use and speak of PAWS, for example.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what is, because there are a lot of messages to choose from sa animal welfare. There are lots like
definitely.
adoption,
Spaying and
spaying and neutering. If there was one message that you'd like to really campaign for, maybe what would it be? And I'm catching you off guard here because I never discussed this with her before this radio show. So I just want to get like things from the top of your head.
Dog fighting.
Dog fighting, like condemning dog fighting.
Yes. I'm obviously not for dog fighting. Yeah, we condemn.
Why
fighting.
naman? Why from all of the because you've had no unpleasant experiences. You come from like I love animals. I have had good times with animals, and that's why I joined PAWS. And then suddenly, a serious issue such as dog fighting. Why?
It's one thing to be irresponsible when it comes to your pets. It's one thing to neglect them and perhaps to even abuse them. But dog fighting is another, diba? It's another. It's an extreme way of abusing animals, and it's just disheartening. So. It's very unfortunate that these things happen around us. And then sometimes we don't even notice. Diba? That's the bad thing about it. And then even if we try our best to really fight for these animals, bumabalik at bumabalik. So, it's hard. It's very disheartening. Ito na siguro, it's one thing that has made me cry, definitely. Kasi seeing abused dogs at the shelter or even, on the street, that will make you sad. But dog fighting really makes me cry. Yun.
Well, what was the visit to the pit bulls? Because everybody knows you went and visited the shelter. When the pit bulls rescued from dog fight in Cavite were there. They're not there now, listeners. They're in Cebu. Island Rescue Organization has very kindly taken in these animals under the leadership of Miss Nena Hernandez. Nena, if you're listening, hi, hello, and to all the great volunteers of Island Rescue Organization, or IRO. I understand it's not IRO, but pronounced IRO because IRO is Cebuano for dog. And this great group there in Cebu has taken on rehabilitation of these pit bulls. But when they were there, you visited, you saw how they were and how kawawa. But was this your first encounter with
It was my first encounter, but I would always read in the papers about dog fighting and yung mga sabong. You would always read about it. But it was my first time to actually experience seeing the dogs. So you can see it in their eyes talaga. And you can see it in the scars. So you're just very thankful. You're very grateful that at least they've been rescued.
And then the dog fighting also is that like it encourages violence, no? Like talagang putting them in the ring and at each other's and
even gambling.
Gambling is also an integral part. And what's sad, in these dog fights, meron, I think there are young people also
involved.
So it's but it is a sad fact that it goes on. Even though we have maybe arrested or raided one, like PAWS did one raid in 2007. This was AKF raid very recently. And this was the biggest ever dogfight ring. But it goes on. And sadly, under the noses of, like, there was a barangay clearance for that dog fight.
Wow.
And there was a permit for the facility.
Wow.
And I'm sure people there weren't exactly clueless that there was such a facility there.
Okay. They knew about it.
I'm sure kasi there were a lot of dogs. So,
but I guess it wasn't clear to them that it was illegal, perhaps, or
yeah, dogfight is illegal. And what can you probably tell people, like if they suspect anything, or because the part of it is inaction also of people they don't want to get involved. So maybe
ignorance.
Something, or just talk to people. I know that the problem is not just going out there and reporting, but also na ignorance na we don't take time to talk to people. And
we don't even have the time to notice. Diba? So, no to dog fighting, please.
So, yung mga nagdo-dog fight dyan, so if you had a chance to speak to them, what would you say?
Please, if you notice anything around your neighborhood, you don't have to go to the police. You can just go to your barangay and just speak about it. You know, you don't have to be involved with the whole process. Your voice is already enough to just make them aware that there is such a thing that's happening in your neighborhood. So please do not be afraid or shy. Please do not hesitate to just report. It's already, you know, it's a big help to just report. And let the authorities know.
Ika nga, it only takes good men to do nothing for evil to triumph. Diba? There's this saying. And yes, we're now being asked to go on a break. This is the Animal Chronicles. We are currently interviewing animal advocate, and celebrity Carla Avellana, and we will be back right after these messages.